more of a regular thing. And hopefully I can, with the bad weather approaching, actually thinking I'm going to be stuck in the studio more. So I'm hoping I'm hoping I can do them super regularly through the fall and winter, especially when I'm home more and when I'm in the studio a lot. And it would probably be really fun for me. And I think I also would really like to, um, have it so that I can have it streaming on my computer and my phone at the same time so that I can answer questions and chat a little bit while I'm working. So then we can maybe talk a little bit at the same time. You can ask questions. We'll see how things go here. So I'm just going to put in some basic, just some basic foundational things in, and then I'm going to start to paint. So when I'm doing my faces, I always do the same proportions I use for every single face. So it's halfway down for the eyes. Now, these are the proportions these are standard for every person, everybody's a little bit different, but we literally have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eye widths across, and it's about halfway between the chin and the top of the head. Is where our eyes go. And then halfway again between our eyes and our chin is where the nose goes. And then halfway between the nose and the chin is the bottom. They call that the lip shelf. So that's the bottom of the lip. Okay. So then I always like to put in my eyelids. And I'm not going to go crazy here because I want to paint a lot of this. And I do like to indicate, where my eyebrows are going, my mouth. And that's just a basic, super basic, baby basic face, okay? And then I like to just think about, when I'm thinking about hair, I just think about the shape. The shape of the hair is really all I really want to think about. I don't have to go crazy. You don't want to think about individual strands when you're doing hair, because then it gets crazy. Okay. So I have a tree here. I have a woman. I haven't really thought too much about colors yet, or what I'm doing as far as any of that goes. I just want this to be kind of just a loose and free kind of a picture. I just want a little basic drawing here before I go any further. And then I'm just gonna start painting because there's a little bit of something here to mix some colors on. Okay, so I have gouache here today. And I always like to have just a little bit of some white gouache on the side. And this is the Holbein, even though I'm using Gansai today. This is just regular white gouache. Okay. And I am going to let everything go today because I got a little bit stressed out with not knowing how to get to my live stream. Oh my goodness, it was just insane. I was like, what am I doing? I got everything set up okay, and then I was like, oh, I don't even know how to get back to that live stream. So I'm starting with a color I like that's soothing. If anybody's wondering what I'm doing here, why is she painting the background? Because I want something soothing. So I'm going in with my beautiful pink because I thought, oh, you know what? I need something to calm me down. So I'm going in with a nice color that I love. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to calm myself down with pink. And so that's what, this is just a light color in the background. I'm just kind of throwing in just because I had a stressful few minutes trying to get this live stream going. But you know what? I'm going to just take some time and figure out the rest of everything later and not even worry about it because now I'm painting and painting makes me happy. So that's all that matters. Okay, so now I'm just going to do that and not worry about, you know what? Actually, this is a good thing because it will give me, it's also doing my negative space, which is always a good thing. And I'm going to go in really pale because then when I start to put in more of the other foreground things, it'll make more sense, I think. Okay, so the background, it's never a bad idea. I'm going in really lightly, so I can darken some of it up later. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look around here. I know what I did, and some of my brushes probably are in my work bag, but that's okay. I can just use. Okay, so I want to get into my person a little bit. So what I really want to do is mix a little bit of skin tone. So I'm going to need my little plate. Hold on a second here. I think I might have lost power here. I hope I did not. That was weird. Oh, I lost power for a second. Sorry about that, folks. We're having a big storm where we are, so I just lost power for just about a second. Things are storming where I am. So my power went out, so I almost lost my lighting for a minute there. That's okay. There we are. Now it's back. Got nervous. I thought I wasn't going to have a light. Okay, now, here we go. Way better. You cannot paint without light, so here I am. I'm going to mix up some colors here. I need to make some flesh tones, so I'm gonna mix a bunch of these colors. I'm using yellow ochre, a little bit of raw sienna. I'm gonna put some little bit of red in there. Let's see, add some white. I need a little bit more of a cool red now to get in here. There we are. Dark brown. All right. I like to create a bunch of different browns and beigey tones and then add back in with the white gouache until I have a variety of values in different skin tones when I'm making flesh tones. So that's what I'm doing right now. Even though I have very little, very, very little skin tones, I'm making a huge plate full of of flesh tones. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go in with some lighter values, but I want to start on the neck, which is going to be probably a little darker than the face. And I'm going to come down here onto here. And there's usually like more of a shadow on those bits. So I'm going to start on her hands. And I think she's going to have, she does have some clothing on, so here we are. Yes. Okay. I really like to make my hair colors and all that stuff like kind of multi-dimensional. It looks more natural that way, I think, a lot of times. I want it to look like There's highlights and things, so sometimes I will just go ahead and put in white gouache in some places. It's not going to show so much, but it reminds me that there will be highlights there, so I will go ahead and do that. I'm not a huge traditionalist. I've been doing watercolor since I was really young, but I'm not a huge traditionalist as far as like using only transparent colors or anything. And you know, I'm using gouache today, not traditional transparent watercolor. Let me get this out of here. And then let me just say, um, just so when you're out in nature, it's really good to start to really observe um, things like what color um, do trees appear to be, because I think a lot of people just naturally assume they're going to be either brown or black, or, and a lot of times they can have really interesting colors. You know, a lot of times they're blue-gray, or they're gray, or they're a very pale gray, and not at all the colors you would expect to see. It's just interesting. And a lot of that perception can come from just how the light is hitting, the time of day, and that sort of thing, you know. So it can be really interesting, because if you go back later in the day or something, it might look different. So they can appear to be different colors depending on when you go, the time of day you go, and look, you know, if you because I'm, you know, working live, I have to kind of be a little patient, because if you go in when it's still too wet, you're going to mess things up. Everything's going to run together and you're not going to be happy. Like today, if I went in too close to the figure when it was still really wet, I'd have stuff running everywhere. So I have to just kind of wait a little while. Now I've got these feet and things I have to do, and I want those to be a little darker, because they're kind of in shadow. So I'm gonna get in here, and before I can bring the bottom, and I'm gonna have to let some of this dry. So, but then I can go back up the top and work on some of that again, because that's starting to dry. So you have to kind of either be patient and work around things, or come back in. Now, some of these things, when stuff starts to dry, a lot of times you have to go back in, and if things are getting too faint or something, I don't mind a little running, because it can be interesting, but you have to kind of watch what's happening on your painting. All right, now I just keep mixing colors and seeing how I like the way it looks. And then I want to soften things, I do. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now. Okay. Now, let me get this out of here. You have to be a little careful, especially when you're using complements, as far as things running. I waited just a few minutes before I started putting these leaves over the pink with the green. Those are complementary colors, so we want to be a little careful about adding that kind of stuff before things start to dry. Again, I'm trying to vary my colors a little bit, because I don't want things to be everything the same color. When you use everything the same, if you don't vary the colors up a little bit, you're going to end up with things getting too dull. This is fun. I was so stressed out when I couldn't get things working, and now I don't care because I'm painting. That's the thing about painting. It makes you calm. Calms you right down, or it calms me right down. I don't know if it calms everybody else down, but it calms me down. So that's all I care about. It makes me happy. That's why I like to share it with other people. It's like a instant calmer. Okay, now all right, let's see, what did I do? All right, now, okay, I'm gonna take some of this, put some of this, some of this. All right, now, I'm going to start really coming in and get some of these darker tones on the bottom here. Sometimes I just let this mix up right on the paper. I don't worry about it too much. Gansai is really not like other water-based media. The reason it comes in so many colors is that it's not really designed to be mixed the same way. I mean, I push it and try to mix it more than it should be mixed, but it really isn't like other gouache and watercolor. You're really supposed to use it as it comes out of the palette. And so if you try to mix it and it's not mixing the right way, that's why, because it really is not designed to be used that way. So you can thin it out quite a bit and make it transparent, but it really is an opaque medium. More like a gouache, but it is not a gouache. I do have a video about it. If anybody's interested in its properties, you can check that out on my channel. And it is its own kind of unique medium. It's a lot different than regular traditional Western watercolor and gouache. Let's see. All right. I think, ooh, that had a lot of white on it. I didn't really mean to put that into my green. That's okay. Okay. All right. So, I kind of like that. Oh, see what I just did? I put a little bit of wet paint where it was wet, and I didn't really mean to do that. You can lift it pretty well. It is designed to be lifted. So if you make a mistake with it, you can pick it up pretty good. Right off the paper, and it's not gonna make a big mess. So I'm going to straighten out my lady just a little bit here because some of her face ran because I was rushing her a little bit. So I just want to get in here and get in here and I'm just going to give her, redo her lips a little bit. Go in. Yep. I feel like her neck is a little too dark, so I'm just kind of going over some stuff here to, yeah, I think I want to fix some of that. Even though it is dark in there, darker. Okay. Let's see. I ended up with a little bit of water blooms, which sometimes I don't mind, but today, so I did manage to avoid using local color here, and local color is the actual color that you would see in nature. I mean, I, used, this very kind of more soft blue here on the tree, and, sometimes I like to do that. Obviously, you wouldn't really see these colors in nature, but I really enjoy doing that sometimes. And obviously we have the light coming from behind because her face is in shadow. So that was really fun to do. So that was a really fun study. I might do another face, maybe one closer up. Maybe I'll take a little break and just see if there's any questions, or maybe add one and see if anybody has any questions. So let's do that now. All right, I'm going to turn this around because this is all my only option. Oh. Hey. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Sorry I messed up. Sorry. I am tech. I am not figuring out my tech well today. No, no, I want to go back to my live, cancel live. Ooh, how do we go back? Oh. Let me see what happens now. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna get set up to do another one. I think I'm gonna paint another face, but I'm gonna do a close-up of one. Let me grab let's see. I'll be right back. Let me see. This time I think I'm just gonna do clip. Oh, here's a clip. All right. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do another one. Hopefully everyone can see what I'm doing. I'm just gonna pick this up a little bit so everyone can see. All right, I have my can't see. All right, I think everyone can see what I'm doing now. All right, so I've got my paint. I'm going to give everything another squish. This stuff dries out really fast because it's, all right. So now I'm gonna do another one. This time I'm painting from a painting of my own. All right, so a lot of times I do this, and I always tell my students that this is a really good way to develop your own style, because you know, when you're painting from your own paintings, they just continue to evolve in your style rather than someone else's. So like if you were to copy like a photograph or something the first time and then paint a picture, if you then like copy the painting that you made, you're gonna just be evolving your style. And the same thing happens if you're like working from masters or something. Like if you want to develop, you know, like you like a couple particular master's work or even a contemporary artist's work, you could copy some of their paintings and then start to copy your own paintings you've made from theirs, and your style will kind of evolve in a similar way, but it'll start to be more your own. So I'm going to make this little head this time instead of doing a full figure and like a landscape. This is just going to be a face. Okay, but the rules are always going to be the same. So, you know, we're going to look at making the eyes about halfway down, and then the nose halfway again between the this and the chin, okay. But we want that on a little curve now because, you know, the face is round. And then this is always halfway, again, between here and here because, and that's the bottom, generally, of our lip, okay? All right. Now these rules are always going to be the same. Now I did not show this in my video. I showed only the frontal faces this week, and I may do more of them if people want to see more. And you can let me know in the comments if you think that that's something you're interested in learning more about, and I'd be happy to post shorts and more videos about, you know, doing heads, because we can start like super basic, because really once you know the proportions, it's really not hard to do faces. You have to start someplace, and even though like in the beginning they might look a little cartoony, eventually you're just going to be able to draw and paint any kind of a face, you know, a female face, a male face, it doesn't matter. You won't need a reference because you'll just know where everything goes, you know. It's interesting. And they're really fun to do. Once you get confidence with the rules of the face or the proportions of the face, you won't, it's not even any harder or more difficult or than drawing anything else, really. It's really similar to any other kind of drawing that you do. I always like to think that I always picture like this little round shape on the nose because, you know, we do have that little ball of flesh there, you know. And so I like to picture that when I'm drawing. I think I'm gonna now this is going to be the bottom of her lip, so I want to make that the mouth line, and then we always have this little mark here. Okay. Once you know the rules and you'll start to know how to refine everything. But the rules really of the face are really about the proportions, and once you know those, you'll be able to draw really effortlessly, because now I've been drawing a very long time, but I still use those same rules every time I draw. And I mean, and it's halfway down, halfway again. This is the mouth shelf. The outer corners of the mouth line up with the pupils. Okay. Our ears, like I have her hair here, but our ears are really straight back here, and they line up with, so her ear would be here, okay? If we were going to put it in, it goes straight, and you could do that on your own face with your fingers. You can go straight back, and you'll feel the top of your ear pretty much lines up with your eyes, and the bottom of your ear pretty much lines up with the bottom of your nose. That's kind of a universal thing. So some people's are a little bit different or a little bit off. And then when we're drawing, we kind of want to do the shape of the hair rather than trying to do the individual strands, okay? It's just, it looks more natural that way. Okay, So that is just like kind of the sketch. And then, I don't know, I'm going to just play here. I sometimes, when I'm drawing though, I do like to think about, or if I have a reference or a photograph or something, I might think about, you know, where some of the light is hitting. Now, we very often, you know, the light will hit the front of our neck in a different way because we have our throat sticks out a little bit more there or something. So we might have more shadow on the sides and things like that. Okay. Our eyelids normally get more shadow. And I'm going to put I forgot her eyebrows because I was talking. I'm chattering. I'm chattering, so I totally forgot that. And then I put her eyebrows in. Okay, so now I'm just going to paint and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to need my little plate again. And maybe I will just... Sometimes I do different colors, you know, depending. I mean, I might just go ahead and just clean this off and just get another whole piece of paper, paper towel, and start again with a different color palette. On this one, I might just adjust the colors a little bit. And we can just mix the flesh tones again. A lot of times when I like to mix my own flesh tones for my paintings, I never just do, even when I'm painting in acrylic or oil, I just kind of, there's a whole bunch of ways you can do it. This time I'm gonna start with buff titanium, which is, you know, this is an easy way if you've never done it before. It's just to take the buff titanium, which is, it's almost like a little beige. You can't just use it this way. You have to add. So I always add a little bit of a cool red, like a scarlet red or something like that. And you want to put that in. Now this is the same for every ethnicity. Everyone has a little bit of pink in their skin tone. Everyone has a little bit of brown. Doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're brown, it doesn't matter. Everybody has the same colors. If you're a dark-skinned person, you have more brown. If you're a white person, you have more white. It doesn't really matter. I use the same colors for everybody. So, and so you just mix more or less of these things in, okay? So there's always going to be places where the light hits and places where the shadows hit. Okay, so this is a whole different color palette than I used before. Now I'm going to mix some more white in. If I want more of that. This tends to yellow it out, okay, the buff titanium. And that magenta color, or the cool red, will brighten it back up. The yellow is very warm, very warming. You got to keep going back and forth until you find something you like. Okay. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of that yellow ochre color too. Okay. None of it looks like skin until you start laying it down. Okay. So now I'm just going to get in and start doing a little bit of this. And I'm not afraid to go in really light in the beginning, you know, with just I'm not afraid to go in with a lot of water in the beginning because you could always make it darker later. All right. And actually, sometimes that's helpful, just to go in with those lighter tones in the beginning. The really important thing, I think, a lot of times when we're painting is to not get nervous when things start to look weird. And I think it's really important to say that because, like, when we're painting, a lot of times there's these really awkward stages in every single painting that happen to everybody. And I always call it the awkward teenage stage, and nobody talks about it. No one talks about the awkward teenage stage of a painting. And every painting has one. And so there are times when your painting's going to look really weird. Like right now, this painting looks really weird right now, but it's not going to always look weird. And a lot of times, this is when people that are new to painting they start to freak out. They're like, oh my God, it looks so good. I had a beautiful drawing and I just wrecked it. What am I going to do? Don't freak out. Just keep painting. It's like totally fine. Now, I just put a giant water bloom on here because I used too much water. I'm not going to freak out. I'm just going to do that and I'm going to fix it. You just have to keep painting and not freak out. It's not a big deal. It's really not at all. And then I just put like the wrong color on it. I'm not even worried. I'm just gonna do that. That looks good. Okay, so now my advice is always just like do it like you intended to do it. I just really loved the way the paper towel mark looked on that. That was really cool. All right, so I'm gonna do that because I like that color right there. And then I'm gonna put in some color here. I like to be super loose when I'm painting also, so yeah. I like my eyelids to be a little bit darker or a little bit of a different color sometimes than the rest of the eye. Our eyelids do tend to be a little bit darker. I do want to go in and add just a little darkness to these nostrils, okay, because that will help things along. And I want to indicate that line right there on her mouth because I like the way that looks. Under here, I'm gonna just do this. I'm thinking about her nose if you're wondering why I'm not touching it. Because there's certain places, okay, that can be this color. Okay. All right. Well, she is starting to look like a person now. All right. I want to soften some of these areas because sometimes when you add things that are wet, they will get a hard line, and so you can soften that a little bit with just a little water. There. Okay. Now I'm gonna put some more color on my lips. Yeah. There we are. There we are. That's good. Okay. All right. Again, the hair, shape of the hair. Now this is just a layer. Okay, this layer is my first layer on the hair. I like my hair to be really multi-dimensional, so I'm gonna add some other colors to it because I don't like my hair to be one-dimensional. I want to add some other colors so that it looks more I think it looks more natural, honestly, when you start to add more than one color and okay. Gonna add some little eyelashes here and just try to just give her more personality. I'm using white gouache back here, which you really can't see. It just looks like I'm slopping water on here, but I'm actually going to add a little bit of like the I'm using some white Holbein gouache back here. I'm going to add a little bit more on my paper here. Just because like when I add the other colors into it, it will soften them down and add a really nice background, I guess, to this. It'll be slightly more pastel in the background, I guess is what I'm trying to do. All right, here we are. There it is. And then I'm just gonna try to I'm just gonna drop some random colors back here. Just, I don't know. Just, okay. Again, just softening this up a little bit. I think I'm gonna leave that one there, and then maybe we'll just chat a minute, and then I'm gonna go. So let's just see if anybody has any questions. Hi everybody. Okay, I'm gonna sign off now, and I'm so glad that you came. And I'm gonna try to figure out the tech thing. I set up a live stream and I couldn't figure out how to log into my scheduled live stream because, you know, I'm just not so tech savvy, I guess. But and I also I also tried to figure out how to have it on my PC and the phone at the same time so I could go back and forth, but I will get all that stuff sorted so that we can chat and I can paint, and I want to be able to do these at least once a week, maybe twice. So yeah, if you like them, let me know and we will continue. Okay, so great being here, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.